Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. We focus on projects, training, and consulting, and other stuff. Hey, welcome to episode 16 of the Think Out Loud series. This will be in the Think Out Loud playlist, and it is numbered separately from the podcast episodes, which also have numbers. And we are picking up from where we have left off. This is the third I guess you would say show where I've been working on this conversational partners project. So before we get into that, let's, as always, thank the low ego action heroes who are supporting me here on the YouTube channel financially. It is totally optional, but always appreciated. And you don't have to use memberships. You can always throw a tip with the super chat, super stickers, and super thanks. That money I do keep, I reinvest it into the show, and I buy delicious chocolate chips. Again, thanks to everybody who is helping out with the show. All right, so let's talk about conversational partners. So this is our third episode working on this fake but realistic project that someone sent. So I am going to switch over to some of my screens. Let's get them ready. I don't feel ready, but here we go. Let's press the right button. How's this one? Okay, so for on the right screen, you should see me, the optional tip jar, the chat room above me, and off to the side, a giant screen with Axure on it. This is not sponsored. I like to use Axure. They do not pay me. I pay them. So again, you can design in whatever tool you prefer. I'm using Axure. If you'd like to visit this project from a web browser, I've uploaded it just now, and I'll do it again after the show. You can find it at QXN like Nancy, P like Peter, Z like Zebra, B like Bravo, .axshare.com. And since this is a live lesson, I want to make sure that as I'm working on this, you're asking me questions. You're asking questions. You're asking why not? Would you do this? So for those of you joining live, ask your questions. If you're watching this later, ask your questions in the YouTube comments. I will personally answer them once I see them. So just to refresh everybody's memory, in case you're not binge watching these in order, we got a request to take a look at a system that would allow people to be matched up based on learning languages. Now, the idea behind this was that native speakers would be matched with native speakers where each one wanted to learn the other person's native language. So I don't have to worry about how good the other person is at, let's say, Italian. They are a native speaker of Italian. They don't have to worry about how good I am with English. I am a native speaker of English. So that's why we're not asking people their level of whatever. These are just native speakers match with native speakers so that the Italian person who wants to learn English can practice English with me and I would help and correct them. And the native Italian speaker can practice with me and they will help and correct me. So that's a little bit of a catch up of what we've done thus far. We did a little bit of a generative research plan. So if we were doing research around this project and we had nothing designed or built yet, what would we be looking to learn and how and from who? So again, you can click around the Axure prototype and check that out. And we also started building the onboarding, which we made as simple as possible, knowing that we could always add to it or expand it later if we needed to. But to me, the best onboarding is no onboarding. Hi, Manuel. So you really want to do as little as possible. However, when we built this, we realized that there were a lot of legal and privacy implications on a website that matches people with each other. So again, go back to the previous episodes if you want to see me discuss that. We are up to the matching screen, and I've changed this since where we left off in episode 15 because I said that I would build it out in Axure a little bit more so that today we could focus on sorting and filtering. So the idea is that I've imagined, and again, we could do more design around this. I've imagined that the system already knows from my onboarding answers that I'm looking to speak Italian with someone looking to learn English. So we're assuming the system already knows that. And now we're assuming the system is going to show us multiple possible people who fit that. They speak Italian fluently. They're looking to learn English. We would be a match. So we're kind of assuming that the system pre-set this up for us. Now, why would it do that? Well, if you've been watching our micro lessons that have Larry Marine in them, then you have heard him say intelligent defaults. And the idea of the intelligent default is, hey, does the system already know something? Can it just default to something? So for example, if we know that you're an English speaker looking to learn Italian, it doesn't make sense for you to come to this screen and for the system to act like, I don't know what language you speak, and I don't know what language you're looking to learn. Good luck. Now, that makes sense if there's only one language spoken and selected. If someone had more than one language, and we're pretending here that people speak 6 languages and they're looking to learn 6 languages, which is unlikely, but see episode 15 for why we did that, then we would have to help people narrow it down. We don't know which language they're looking to speak or learn. We would have to figure out how the system is going to match them up, or whether the system is going to say, hi, you're looking to learn Italian or French, and you speak English and Portuguese. Here are some matches. So I didn't get that far with it, but I wanted to talk today about some sorting and filtering so that we can help people find their matches. Now, just as an example, I have put 5 fake people into my Axure file here. I've given them pictures. I've given them fake usernames. Larry says, are you sure about the URL for this? I'm getting. Okay, I don't know what Larry is doing because YouTube blocks pasting stuff. Let's take a look. Your project is being generated. It shouldn't be generated. It should have been already finished. Let's take another look. Let me try to generate it again. qxnpzb.axshare.com. Let's type it into the chat room and send it over to YouTube and see if that works. Does that work? So sorry if people are getting some weird things. Let me send it back up to Axure. It will say your project is being generated, but then it should snap into life. But anyway, even if that's being a little bit funky and needs some time to catch up, let's take a look at what we've already built in and talk about how it's going to play into things for what we're working on today. So last week we talked about how people would have an image, which may or may not be their real photo, because this isn't a dating site. We just want to match people up to talk. They might want to not put their photo for privacy reasons. We were going to give them a username. We were going to put down their age. We were going to let people favorite them. And we were going to let people block them. And I couldn't find a good icon in Axure. So just know that this is a terrible icon, but then I would work with the visual designer on a better icon. So this is a placeholder. If it's got thumbs up, we didn't block that person, and I did thumbs up with an X on it, means we blocked that person. Terrible icons. Do not use these icons. Bad choices. But for now, that's what I'm using. We have the idea of sending someone a message and being involved in a chat with them, maybe to get to know them a little bit and see if you want to end up having some sort of call or video call with people. We didn't get that far either. And then, of course, we're showing their languages. And so I did build in some of the functions in Axure. Here it is. So we should be able to favorite and unfavorite someone, and we should be able to unblock and block someone. And if you're able to get to this page, you should be able to see that as well. If you're looking for the other pages, you just click this up here in the Axure prototype, and you'll see the other pages that we worked on. Hopefully that is working. So now let's take a look at how this might work if we wanted to build some sorts or filters. Now here we imagine that we've got 5 people fake people in the system, and I might say, gee, I'm a middle-aged person. I really don't want to talk to anybody too young. I'm worried that we won't have enough in common, and I don't think I want to talk to anybody too young. So we might say, we might give people a way to filter by age. Now, there's a few ways that people can do this. You could say, I want to meet everybody older than a certain number. It could be, I want to meet people younger than a certain number. Or it could be, I want to meet people between this age and this age. So just to make it easy for ourselves, what I'll try first, and again, as I've mentioned on these shows, sometimes I design something and then I go, wow, I hate this. This is terrible. Throw it out the window. So remember, I don't do sketching first. Whatever is in my head, I just get it into Axure and I see if I think it's going in the right direction based on the users and the context and what we've supposedly learned about them from research, though there is no research here because it's a fake project. And then I'll adjust it or redo it if I have to. So my first idea is just to have one filter where it says between age X and age Y. So I'm going to kind of mock that up, and I may move this later or redesign it later, but I'm just going to start with it here and see how I feel about it. And again, maybe change it later. And so I might say age between, and now I need a box that people can type into, which on Axure is going to be text field. Oh, actually, I made a text field over in these components. I can grab this one. There we go. This is our matching page. So age between this and this. And I'll probably put some defaults in here because by default it would be everybody. So it might be age between 18 and 100. Just on the assumption that we're not going to have minors on this website and there might not be too many people older than 100 who we have. So I could put an 18 here, though I'd probably want to center that. And we can say, let's drop this here. Okay, what we'll need to fix this a little bit. Age between this and this. Now, some people might be wondering, well, where's Debbie going to put the submit button? And I guess the question is, do we need a submit button? When we think about the way some websites now work, a lot of times, whatever you do, it just kind of automatically goes once you are typing into these fields. So the question is, do I need to type into these fields and then have a submit button? Or can I just put these fields and people type in them and it goes? Sometimes that question is best answered with usability testing. If I put this here and people look at it and go, where's the submit button? Looks like I can't do anything here. Then I go, oh crap. People didn't figure this out. I guess it needs that button. But if our target users, and again, another reason why you test with your target users and not just random people who may not fit the target, if they can figure this out and it's usable to them and it makes sense, then to me, I might leave the button off. So again, you have to just go by what you believe is going to be modern, intuitive, makes sense, doesn't need training, doesn't need a tooltip. Don't put a tooltip here and write the ages you want and the system will automatically. No. Once you're putting instructional text, you've built something that's not intuitive. I'm hoping this is intuitive, but of course, we'll have to check it out. So let's say that I call this age range 1 input, and I'll call this age range 2 input. Now again, for the purposes of wireframing, I could just leave this for now. But if I wanted to try to make this an interactive prototype that I could take to usability testing, then I would want to build these things into Axure so that they are working. So let's give it a try. I might mess this up before I get it right, but hey, that's what design is all about. It's okay if you mess it up. So I'm going to say, when people change the text in this box, I want to create a filter on my block of fake people, which I forgot to give a name. and I want to filter on their age. Here we go. And it's going to be a range. So, I really should have my notes handy for this. So let's see. It should be, all right, I'm going to have to try to write this from memory. Oh boy. Text val, no, custom. Where's custom? Does it still say custom? Boo. This doesn't say custom. If I can't get this right, I'll just abandon this for now. This is my custom expression, so let's give it a try. This should, and again, this is a really advanced thing in Axure, and even I'm gonna mess this up. So, you know, be patient with me. But while I mess this up, I'd like to say that it's really important for us to consider better prototyping tools, because when I get this working, you're gonna go, oh, wow, I can't do that with Figma. And that's kind of my point is, and again, I make no money if you use Axure or not. This is not a horse in the race for me. It's not sponsored. I make no money from it. It's just, hey, I would rather my usability testing be better. So let's say this age range has to be greater than or equal to, let's try this. I really should have practiced this before the show, but you're all going to watch me stumble through this. Wah! LVAR1. And who remembers and in Boolean operators? Is it? I'm going to go get my notes. Hold on. Let's see. I'm back. Okay, when I train Axure and I train these advanced things, I actually have some notes that I refer to so I don't get this wrong, because this is so easy to get wrong when you are writing something that is complicated like this, because we need to show the range. Here we go. Okay, I think I found my notes. Let's try it. So, item age. Okay, so the age of the person has to be greater than or equal to the first number they put in, and item age has to be less than or equal to the higher number that they've put in. Oh, if this works, I'm going to be so proud of myself. Thank you, Daniel. You're totally right. Daniel's got it. Everybody hire this man. Okay, or LVAR2. I wonder if I'm going to get this right. This is going to be fun. All right, let's see what happens. And again, if not, we'll leave it for now. I don't want this to become a Debbie stumbles through Axure show, but let's see. My youngest fake person is 27, so if I put a number higher than 27, the first person should drop out. Let's take a look. 28. No? 28. I killed it. Oh. Greater than or equal to. Anyway, I might not have gotten this right, and I might not be able to fix it quickly. Age. Now, of course, you can do just a less than or greater than, but it really should have worked. I don't think it needs an is. No, that's is numeric. That wouldn't work. Anyway, if you can get through this ugly stuff with Axure, then you too can build something more advanced. And here I've outdone myself. I didn't even practice this before the show. Item age is greater than or equal to LVAR1, and it's less than or equal to LVAR2. I don't know, that looks good to me. What did I do wrong? But anyway, Axure should be able to do this if I could write that correctly, and obviously I didn't. You'll notice that as soon as I did type something, Axure filtered out everything, which was unfortunate. So Axure does understand that we're creating a filter, but I did not write this correctly. So yeah, even age 1 to 100 filtered out everything. So I will have to figure this out, and maybe next time we do the show, I'll say, hey, by the way, I figured that out. But just to make sure we're still moving through our world here and thinking about design, let's think about some other filters that we might want to create, whether or not I can get them working in Axure, because give me enough time and I'll eventually get it working. But put me under the bright lights and I'll mess it up. Manuel says, I recently got my Azure educational membership. Is there a way for me to transfer my designs from Figma so I can properly prototype them for usability testing? Yes. Azure does have a Figma plugin, so look that up. Just Google Azure Figma plugin and you should see that. There is a way to move Figma designs into Azure, but I don't think there's a way to do Azure back to Figma, but I'm not sure. I haven't checked. Okay, so again, I'm just going to put all of these filters out here for now, but we might decide later to change them. We might want to show only someone's favorites. Maybe they just want to filter out the people they favorited, and then we might also look at, let's filter out the people I haven't blocked. So we could say, let's see, there's a couple of ways that we could do this. And for example, people might want only their favorites, the people they didn't favorite because they haven't seen those yet, or both. Now, for something like that, sometimes when there's 3 options, you can stretch them out and put them as maybe 3 radio buttons because they're 3 choices. But sometimes that can end up being a little bit busy. So there's 2 other ways that we could consider doing it. One would be a drop list where we give them those 3 choices, just this, not this, and both. Or we could try to give them checkboxes where it's like, yes to this, no to that. I think just to play around with this a little bit, I'm going to try the drop list. And again, if it doesn't feel right, if it's not working, I will happily kill it and try something else. But I think that's part of the beauty of just doing some design. And again, to me, this is my version of sketching because I don't sketch. So this is, let's drop it over here. And let's say that our choices are going to be, we don't need this one. We will say, we want to say all, I'm just going to write users, but I would assume that our content people are going to come up with a better name. Maybe they're language learners, or maybe the name of our company has some funny word that goes with it, acturers, maybe we have something for that name. But for now, I'm going to say all users just as a placeholder, only favorites, and not favorites. I need better words for this. I think my wording is terrible, but hopefully everybody knows what I'm shooting for. And that's where I would collaborate with a writer to help me use some better terms here. But I either mean everybody, just the people you favorited, or the people you didn't favorite. That way we've got 3 different ways of doing it. And in Azure, by default, they will show the first one. If you don't want Azure to show the first thing on the drop list, you just check a different one. But all users is first, so all users will be shown by default. And I guess I could narrow that down a little bit if that will work. I can do a quick refresh and take a look at how it looks. So all users, only favorites, not favorites. And it's not the prettiest drop list. That's fine. Remember, I'm not an artist and I'm not trying to make this beautiful. I'm just really going more from the interaction design side to think about how I would do that. And we can always make it look better later. So we could try our hand at making a little filter and see if I can get something working today and see how it goes. Hi, Wilson. So let's say that when people change something on this drop list, we are going to create a filter. And let's say the filter, sorry, this is where my mouse slows down and I don't know why. The filter is going to be based on whether or not someone is a favorite. And I think in my, because this is kind of metadata, I think I put Y or N for yes or no. So this would be yes, only show the favorites, but I need to add a condition here. This would be if only faves, and that would be if selected option of this is only favorites, go. And then I could also create very quickly another case because I'm feeling confident. Show everybody. If somebody changes this to all users, then I would say remove the filter. Slow mouse. Not the age filter. Oh my gosh, slow mouse. Why? Doesn't know that one yet. Let's try again. Okay. A little Axure bug if you ask me, but there you go. So let's give this a try. See if I can get anything right with Axure today. And if not, I apologize. I'm going on vacation in a few days and I think my brain has started. Now for this, I only have one person who's a favorite. Let's add a second. Let's say that person is a favorite and let's see what happens if I try to filter it. Yes, go me. Okay, so that would work. So if somebody only wanted to see their favorites, they would be able to narrow that down. If they wanted to go back to all users, we've removed that filter. And then hypothetically, we would also make the other filter work in Axure, where what does it look like if it's not favorites? And again, that's easier than it sounds because I had another option here, which was, let's do this. So this would be not faves. Oop, we can call it if not faves. And that would be to add a filter that says no. And then here, hypothetically, I need to remove both filters because I don't know which one people picked. So it would either be the favorites or the not favorites. Just covering all my bases. Oh, Axure won't have it on the list yet. Slow mouse. Slow mouse. Yeah, I've got to, that's weird. I've got to save this and come back to it. I guess Axure assumes people are working more slowly than I am. Let's try that again. That would be remove filter. And again, this is not an Axure lesson. I recognize that I'm moving pretty fast right now. This is more about design than about how to use Axure. So let's give it a try. Only favorites, still that one. Not favorites, there you go. Now if I favorite this person, notice they left. Because Axure said, wait, you only wanted not favorites. Favorite, oop, they're gone. Favorite, they're gone. And I can go back to show everybody and you'll see they all now have hearts because I favorited them. So this works. And you might say, Deb, what's the point of making that work? Everyone knows what you mean by it. Okay, but if I want to take this to usability testing, it should work. It should feel realistic. It should feel like people are using a realistic system. Even if the design isn't visually fantastic yet, we could still learn a lot about what's going well and what needs improvement from this design because now people can use it realistically. I know we've got about 10 people watching live. Does anybody have a question or any comments, anything you want to disagree with, anything you want to know more about? I'm going to keep building filters. So, let me know what you're thinking. I think I want to do one now for only show me everybody, show me the people I didn't block, and show me the people I did block. Because sometimes you want to go back and go, oh, I heard good things about them, I should unblock them. We want to give people a way to change their minds. So technically, let's see, let's move this over here. And I'm just going to copy and paste it and drop it over here. And again, this is starting to get a little cluttered, so I may do something different later, but for now I'm going to put in all of these things as a placeholder and maybe change my mind later. So, only, again, I need better terms here. I'm going to call them accepted and blocked. Terrible terms, but again, that's where I would rely on a writer, content strategist, content designer to help me out and not mess it up so badly. Daniel says, can you add someone as a favorite and also not thumbs up that person? Yes, I guess we could. So hypothetically, we could say, because maybe we changed our mind somewhere along the way. This is I want to block friendly person, but they're also my favorite. Now, again, we could decide that we're going to let people do that, or we could decide that that might need an error message because that's a little weird. But if we can think of a use case where someone wanted to favorite them and block them, then we certainly can. I would give preference to the blocking. So for example, if someone said, only show me my favorites, and also here I would default to only accepted. So that way, which we didn't build the right Axure filter for, but here I would default to only the accepted people so that by default, people are not shown the people they've already blocked. So I don't have Axure doing it right now, but I can show you that that's what I would do by default. That by default, it wouldn't be, we need a better term here because technically we're not looking at all users. We're only looking at the accepted people and not the blocked people. Though again, I didn't make Axure's filter work where this person would have been left out. So again, it's up to you and the research you've done, and maybe in your research you try to find out, would anybody ever favorite somebody, you know, can you think of a reason? Can they think of a reason? But what I would probably do is if somebody clicked block, I'd probably unfavorite them. But that would be something that we would have to test to see if it made sense to people and matched what they expected to happen. Because chances are if you're blocking someone, they're not your favorite. Maybe they were your favorite and then they said something unacceptable and you blocked them. So yeah, but to be, the preference would be about blocking. So again, we could change some of this wording if we don't like it. So instead of all users, it could be favorited and not favorited. That gets a little bit long. So again, I need a content person to help me. All of this wording is placeholder because it's a little bit bulky. Let's think about some other things that we could do. We could let people search for by name. We could see maybe somebody heard that a great person to find on the Conversational Partner website is Friendly Person, because Friendly Person is friendly and great to talk to. Hey, you should talk to Friendly Person. Maybe we want to let people do a text search. Now, again, this is going to start to get a little bit cluttered. We might want to build something different, but I'm still going to run with it for now because I'm running with it for now. So let me grab a blank text box. Let's say we've got this in here. There we go. And let's say I put a little hint text that says search by username. And again, here you have to decide whether or not this needs a submit button or how you want to do it. Let's just put a submit button here. I'm thinking that might be a little bit more logical for people. We could grab a primary button if we think this is a primary action, which it probably is. And also I would rely on the writer for whatever is the best word to put on this button. I'm going to write go, exclamation point, but they might have something better in mind. Maybe it says search, maybe, you know. So again, my wording might suck, but we can still make this work. So I will call this username search input, and I'll tell Axure when people click on the go button to build a filter based on whatever they've typed in there. So on click or tap, add a filter. Here comes slow mouse again to the repeater. And again, repeater in Axure is just a data set. So we have a little fake data set behind the scenes. Contains text on widget, not this, sorry, not target. Text on widget, username search input. Don't remove other filters. Boolean or let's give it a try. So let's go back and say I heard that friendly person is very friendly. I think their name has the word friend in it. So again, you could say, Deb, did you really have to build that out? And I say, again, if we want to take this to usability testing and we want this to be realistic, then we have to make stuff work realistically. We can't say to people, what would you click on if you wanted to find someone by name? That's too much of a leading question. That tells them pretty much exactly what to do, and then they're going to click on the right thing, and you're going to go, oh, my design is great. This design might not be great. So we need to make sure that the best way to go is through realistic usability testing. Now, I'm going to see if spacing this out helps this look less ugly, and it might not. I might need to think of another way to deal with some of these sorts and filters. But for now, let's see if spacing them out a little bit helps. And if not, we might need to think of another paradigm. Not sure that helped. Still a lot going on here. And remember, there's possibly more we might add in the future. We're assuming that I came here to speak Italian and find someone else who wants to learn English. We might eventually have filters that say, which language do you want to speak and which language do you want to learn? And we have to match people up that way too. So I think we're probably going to have to think about other ways to do filters. Now, sometimes when I'm not too sure what are some good ways to do filters, you can look at some of your favorite websites to see how they do filters. You can look at Google. You know, sometimes you can go to a Google search and say, interaction design. Let's see what happens if I say interaction design filters. Let's see what kind of images I get. So you can certainly see if any of these inspire you. See if you look at any of these and go, oh, that does look like an easier way to do this than what I've started building. So some of these look the same as what we're building. There's just a whole bunch of filters out there. Some of these are busier than what we've built, so I'm not sure they're an upgrade. So we would kind of have to play around. Oh, there's also the e-commerce style where sometimes filters are down the left in a column. That's another option that we could play with. That's a possibility. But ultimately, we might have a lot of filters here, so we're going to need to figure out a way to keep them organized and make it easy for people to use without tooltips and without confusion. So I'm wondering about maybe the left side filtering idea. I think that's a possibility because we're going to have a lot of filters, and e-commerce sites usually have a lot of filters, so it should be a paradigm that some people are used to. If you're watching this live, wouldn't you agree that you have shopped online and you have seen left side filters? Now, these aren't necessarily attractive. I think the other ones looked a little bit better, but there's nothing wrong with going to Google for inspiration if you're not too sure what your options might be to do something and you're just wondering, how are other people doing this? And use your critical thinking and say, okay, I'm not sure this is a better set of filters. This is like just everything. I think they've just thrown everything at this person. I'm not sure that's better. So keep asking yourself, how can this be easier to use? How can this be simplified? How can this be a no-brainer for the user? So I think this was the first thing we looked at. So this is an old Zappos screenshot. And you can also go to some websites you like and use. You can say, gee, I shop Amazon a lot. What do their filters look like? Hey, I shop this website a lot. What do their filters look like? So you can always poke around and see if there is something that could work for you. So that's something that we could possibly consider for this. Would these filters be better down the left side? We don't know until we try. So what I'll typically do, especially in Axure, is I'm just going to make a fresh page. I can go into Axure and I can say, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to like what I'm about to do, so I don't want to have to undo it later. Duplicate this page for me. So I can say like matching left column version. Now check up here. I'm working on the left column version. And then I can start kind of taking a look at this, maybe moving some things around and saying that this lives at, let's see, maybe it lives over here. Let's try that. And let's start moving some of these things around and see how we feel about them. Let's see if this can be 200 wide. And I tell people, don't be afraid to experiment with this. Don't be afraid to build something and then say, well, now that I'm seeing this, I don't like it either. And that's fine. That's another reason why I do that kind of save as thing, so that I don't later on go, oh man, I just spent 20 minutes trying this other idea and this idea is worse. So just make sure you do yourself a favor and have a version you can go back to in case you hate your new idea. That happens to me. I hate my new idea sometimes. So let's try moving some of these things around. And I'm trying to line them up. And it's being a little funky. There we go. And again, we also talked about how we could even see the possibility of more filters in the future with what language you want to speak and what language they want to speak. We could even mock that up right now, even though it doesn't work in Axure. We could just kind of move this out of the way. And we could grab this thing and copy paste it. And let's say I drop this over here. And let's say we've got languages in here. Maybe this can default to what we know people speak. I mean, this only has to have the languages they said they can speak. But I'll pretend that we told the system in the onboarding that we can speak more languages. So let's say I said that I can speak English, Spanish, and French. And we're going to default to English. And let's get a label out here and put a field label on this dude. So we might say, I want to, I will speak English and copy paste. And again, I'm just playing around with ideas. We'll see how they go. And we'll say, I want to learn. Let's mess with these a little bit. We'll say Italian, German, Dutch. Okay. Anybody have any thoughts or questions as I'm going? This could end up being more of a field label. So I'll move this over. And this probably needs a field label instead of a hint, just for accessibility reasons. Manuel says, can they add more to the list when they can speak more languages? Yeah, we would have to create something where you can go into your settings or preferences and maybe update what languages you speak. So we didn't build that, but I would assume that I would need to build that just in case. So let's say, this. Okay, so we'll have like a username search. We'll have what language they speak. And we've got their age. And then this is going to say, and again, my text is still terrible. I still need help from someone who's better at writing than I am, or at least short form writing. So I'm just going to write favorited users. So as I'm doing this, what do y'all think? Do you think this is better down the side? Do you think it's better along the top? What is, now again, I'm asking you your gut feeling, and you're not the user, but I am thinking about think about, oops, not blockers, blocked users. Let's take a look at this. So what do we think? Do we think this one's easier to use, more intuitive, more modern interface, harder to use, confusing? Now again, ultimately we would know this from usability testing. And hypothetically, we could give people both of these and have them try it out. You make sure some people see this one first, some people see the other one first, and then you find out which one seemed to be easier or faster to use, which one had fewer mistakes, and then you can find out which one they prefer. I normally don't do a preference test like showing people this screen and showing people this screen and saying which one do you like. Typically, I will give them each screen and I'll give them a task. Like, you're looking for a conversational partner between the ages of 30 and 50. You know, you give them something like that and you see what they do. So we've got these two different versions. I think I'm liking this one better, but again, that's just me. That's just my opinion, and I could be totally wrong. We would know better once we did that usability testing, and sometimes the best answer is some sort of hybrid. You never know. So you have to be open to being wrong. You have to welcome your designs failing in usability testing. Never feel badly about that. Always celebrate that, because that helps you know the right direction to go. So here again, these filters should still work, because Action still works even if you move things. I know the page looks like it's shifting a little. That's because of the length of it. Because then the scroll bar is going away. So that's why the page looks like it's shifting, but if we put some placeholder junk on the bottom and a footer, it wouldn't do that. So that's some ideas about that. Now, with our last 10 or so minutes, I'm just going to try something else, an idea that I had. And let's imagine that we want to design the idea that we're going to let people have a conversation with each other. And I imagine that maybe people are looking at this list or their favorites or a filter, and they want to message a bunch of people. Daniel says, I liked it at the top. I think it's faster to use. See, that's why we can't just go by our opinions, because Daniel thinks it's going to be better at the top. I'm thinking it's going to be better at the left side. I probably would bring these, and I've done this in the past, where I bring these into an unmoderated usability test. Again, half the people see this one first, half the people see the other one first, so that you don't have that bias. And then you have them each do a task in there, and then you find out, you ask them which one they thought was easier to use. So again, another great reason to not just go by Debbie says or Daniel says. We really don't know. We really don't know which one is better, and that's why we usability test. Now, some people think we should A/B test these and see which one performs better. A/B tests are about performance. They might tell us who clicked more, or who did a thing more, or when did we make more money. But that's very different than a usability test, which is which one, or what about my design is easy for people, intuitive. They don't have to think. It just works. Or where's there room for improvement? So remember that these tests answer different questions. The usability test answers questions like, is this easy to use? Where could this be improved? Do people have a preference? Did they get lost? Are they making mistakes? Were they slow? And then the A/B test says, which one performed better based on a metric that's important to our company? Did one of these make us more money? Did one of these lead to more conversations? Did one of these lead to whatever we think is a great thing to measure? But I've got all kinds of content about that. Look for my Medium article called Your Metrics Are Myopic, or something like that. I forgot the name of my article, but Google, you'll find it. So no matter what we do with this, let's imagine that the next thing we want to build is the messaging. So just off to the side in a blank space for a moment, I'm going to imagine, let's just kind of drag out a box. Let's imagine that I've got a box. let's see, this box is at 185, so this box will be at 185. That's my Y parameter. And doesn't have to be too wide. This is going to be our conversation. So let's imagine that it looks like this. And now I'm going to need to do kind of little conversational blurbs. So let's say this is from one person, and then there's you. Now these could be shapes. These could be rounded rectangles. They could be speech bubbles. They could be anything. Just to style something really fast, I'm going to say that they are blurby looking things. I think I did that backwards. Hold on. You, and you, and you. Help, I'm clicking. I hate precise clicking, don't you? And let's also imagine that there's a fun color in here. And this is the person's messages to you. So let's say that we'll use Delta CX Blue. All right, so I've made a little thing here. We might grab a label field and put their name on it. So maybe this has the their name and maybe a timestamp. So it could be other person, and let's also do a timestamp. I'll right justify that. And let's see, where'd my right justification go? There we go. So maybe they sent us this message at 7:22 p.m. Monday, 16 May 2022. And again, you could decide whether these are absolute dates and times or whether these are relative. 20 minutes ago would be relative. That would be absolute time. Again, something you can test and play around with. I'll also, let's see, let's bold this. And let's imagine that we've got some text from this person. So I'm going to drag out a paragraph of lorem ipsum just as a placeholder. And we'll space this out a little bit. And I'll need to cut it down. It's too long. Okay, and of course it'll need to be white on blue. Okay, and so make it white. Okay, so let's imagine, and I'm imagining that we've had a previous conversation with this person, so we have access to things that they've previously said and we've previously said. So this would certainly not be the initial state of this box. This would be like a later state of this box, but I'm just kind of playing around with it with some early ideas. So now I can copy and paste this, and now I can make the version of what I replied to them. And again, this is a common paradigm. I'm not really inventing a wheel here. We have lots of chat paradigms, and I think we should consider feeling comfortable, leaning on them. We don't have to reinvent this wheel. I do have to change this. And let's imagine that this is maybe a white box or a soft blue box with dark type. Again, my visual design skills are poor. I would lean on a professional visual designer to help me out here. Sometimes this text is right justified, sometimes it's left justified. Let's take a look on my phone and see how these normally look. Is my own text left justified or right justified? I'm looking at Telegram, which I use, and it's left justified. So I'm going to leave that. And then we've got to create a box where I can then write something to the person. So maybe we grab, I think I have a text area. Did I make a text area on the components? Yeah, here we go. It's a little bit ugly, but again, it's a placeholder for now. And we could drop it over here. And widen it so that these things line up. Yeah, that's true. This is a little off. Thank you, Aksher, for showing me I am not pixel perfect. I'm rarely pixel perfect, so y'all just have to put up with me there. And this is probably a little tall. We could also make it grow as people type. And we could give it a little... We could give it what do you call it? A hint? Though I think most people know how to use this type of thing. So that's an example of where we could start creating a chat thing. We could make this have some motion. It could have some interactivity. We could test this out. But for now, I'm just going to mock it up. It's a little bit wireframey. And I'm going to drop it into what Aksher calls a dynamic panel. And let's give it a name. This will be the chat panel. By default, it's hidden. I guess my question is, do I want to pin it? Yeah, let's pin it. That's an option. You don't have to pin it, but I'm going to play with the idea. Pinned browser window, right. Keep in front. Okay. And let's imagine that someone clicks the send message button. They would then see that panel. So we can kind of play with that as an idea. Show hide panel. Chat panel. Sorry, slow mouse. Don't know why. Show. Slide left. And let's just try that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so refresh. Send message. Zoom. Okay, so that needs a little bit of cleaning up. It looks, I don't know, a little bit bulky, a little bit big. I think people are used to chat panels that are maybe a little bit more narrow. We might also want to change some of the design to maybe we kind of screen out what's happening behind it. Let's try that. So let's try that. That would be a light box in Aksher. We can try that and see if we... wrong button. And then we're going to have to get out of here. But I feel like we're kind of done with this project. I think next week we should move on to something else. So please make sure you send in something else. That's at deltacx.com/links. And you can send something in. Actually, we're taking the next 2 weeks off because I'm going to be on vacation. So you have lots of time to send something in. Okay, that's too dark, but you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Pretend this top Aksher bit isn't here. That's a little bit too dark. I think I've overdone it, but that's an idea we could play with. So in general, I think I'm going to call this project done. We've spent 3 episodes on it. We've looked at a lot of different ideas. You've seen some of my process, and I've talked about how I would test it. So I'm going to jump back to a giant picture of me. Zoom. All right. So the show is unfortunately over. I hope you will please subscribe, especially if you are enjoying these episodes and Learning Design Live. Remember, subscribe here on YouTube. deltacx.com/links has a place where you can send something in that you would like to see me plan a research project for, because we can't really do a research project, or do some design work for, whether it's fake or real. And of course, as always, please do subscribe and tell friends. You've got to know friends who are interested in UX, already working in it, want to know more. So please, the best way you can support the channel is really not financially. It's by telling people to come and subscribe. Any other thoughts or questions before I end our show for today? Thanks to everybody who joined in and asked questions or shared ideas. And again, my vacation starts on Friday. So if you're watching this around the time When it was live, my vacation starts May 20th, 2022. I'll be gone for 2 weeks. That means our next show from this will be whatever is that Monday, June 6th, I think it is. Monday, June 6th. Thank you, Manuel. Thanks for joining. Let me just check our calendar of events. Tomorrow will be office hours. I'm doing the double, both 10 a.m. Italy time and 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Wednesday, I'm going to read somebody else's article about design thinking, and we'll discuss that. Thursday, I'm going to read my article about how UX professionals need UX managers, and we'll discuss that. And then I'm on vacation, and I don't know whether or not I'll be broadcasting from there. Depends on Wi-Fi and weather and whether or not I'm doing stuff. And then I will be back. Let's take a look. Yes, so the next show would be Monday, June 6th, for Think Out Loud. So you've got to send me something, though. If I've got nothing to do, there's no show. So, this is all about what you send in. So thanks again to everybody for joining. Be well, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for office hours. Thanks. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are